Thank you, CZ, for joining us. We're finally live. So excited to have you. After internal requests and external community expectation, now we have the bigger boss of the industry. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, no longer boss. Happy to be here, but yeah.
Okay, so for no longer the boss, like what does a normal day like for you now versus when you were CEO at Binance? And most interestingly, I think community cares about how do you find being a dog owner? Has broccoli changed your life?
Oh, yeah. So it's still pretty busy every day. I don't know why. There's a lot of I'm looking at a lot of investment opportunities with labs, and then been busy with Twitter. I'm very active on Twitter now, and then this dog thing. Yeah. So I've had broccoli for what, year and a half, 18 months. So a bit over 18 months actually. So not a new thing. Yeah, it's fun. I wouldn't say I'm like a total dedicated dog person. As I explained, that dog was given to me. I never knew that he would be a a topic in the blockchain industry. That just never occurred to me. But anyway, so life is good. I'm also busy with Gigo Academy, the education platform. They're doing well. They got a. I think they got a good product. We just got to scale. So we just got to scale the content. So we'll hire more developers there, hire more AI guys there, etc. So yeah, I'm still pretty busy. I don't know why. Yeah.
Yeah, I think some brainstorming that we had with Giggle is, hey, how can we give everybody a digital certificate and help them to potentially do better in life, right? And then everybody naturally has a wallet, and then we connect both the education AI and the crypto industry together. So those are some kind of brainstorming stuff. I think a lot of community are interesting to hear from your vision, which we'll touch upon today. But before we're going over there, we're having this conversation because we finally feel proud to get you on the conversation since we're almost 200 million downloads.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
this is about 77% of the Binance registration users. So for us, we feel like as a decentralization wallet with all the hoops that you have to jump over, that's quite some honor from the user base. But we wanted to go back in history. What was your vision and conviction for a wallet back then in 2018?
Well,
When Binance first acquired it. Yeah.
yeah, I think, as you said, wallet is a core infrastructure of blockchain. I think blockchain is not just limited to trading, right? So centralized exchange, order book, high frequency trading. If you look at the world, most people don't trade. Most like if you look at the broader crowd. And right now, there's a little bit of a wrong perception that when you come to crypto, you have to become a trader, which is not true. You can just come to crypto and just use crypto, and just use the blockchain. So as you said, look, we can integrate a ID system, digital certificates, even point systems into the education platform, which we plan to do on Gigo Academy. But I don't want to do it too early. I don't want people to get too much into the token economics and etc. So I want them to focus on we build a really good education app. And then later on, look, many governments are looking at blockchain solutions now, especially now given Elon in the US says we want to use blockchain for Dodge. Now, many governments are looking at blockchain. So when governments look at blockchain, the first thing they're going to need is a digital, decentralized ID solution, or however you call it, DID. And then with that, you need a wallet. And then within a wallet, then you should be able to do everything from the wallet. So the wallet is kind of like the browser to the internet, right? So wallet is a key infrastructure. Whereas many people have the wrong perception that I just care about trading. Binance.com, the exchange side, is important. They provide liquidity. They're a large player in the industry. And but now that I don't get involved in that, which actually frees me up to do everything else, which is quite interesting. So I think the wallet is a very important infrastructure, and I think with Trust Wallet, the deal worked out quite well for both the founder, Victor, and us. And now, he eventually phased himself out. We're still you still talk to him. We're still on very good relationships. And then we have a team that continue to build this product to 200 million users. And the most important, actually, one of the very impressive parts of that is I wonder how much overlap that there is. I actually think that in terms of active users, the overlap is quite small. So Trust Wallet were able to capture a large part of well, you probably know this better. A large part of, like, everyday decentralized, hold your own coin, hold your own key kind of users, which is quite interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So I think when we first 3 years ago we were doing a survey. At that time, I would assume Trust Wallet and Binance users have much higher overlap because Trust Wallet was very much under the care of Binance, and then now, and at that time, we have only 50% of overlap. And nowadays, because now we don't have such a data integration with Binance due to compliance reasons, but I would imagine the overlap is actually quite smaller. I actually think it's working better for the ecosystem industry in general. It means that we're able to capture the different kind of the user base and the user profile and bring that all together and serve users a little bit differently. So I'm glad to hear you say that, because honestly, sometimes I feel FOMO. The whole industry is very speculation, accruing value right now.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I feel that, oh, should we do speculative trading tools better for the users that would absolutely help out with our revenue and probably help better with our DGM reputation. But in the end, when we're looking at the user data and profile, we feel like, users are using us for remittance. Users are using us for trading, holding. We have like 10 billion USDT not moving for 6 months. And guess what? People don't do that.
I didn't know that. That's a very impressive figure. Yeah.
Right. So we feel like, how can we offer and bring users alternative opportunities that our industry come up with DeFi, right? How can we do ARM better? How can we help with everyday wealth management? How can we potentially do payments and remittance better? And then this is something that we have been working on. And how can we become a Web3 Revolut in the next 2-4 years with the industries, with the applications and protocols coming up together? And then we'd be able to package that, aggregate it, and present it to the users. I want to get your views too. What might be your vision for wallet, or specifically Trust Wallet, in, let's say, 5 years time horizon, so that we can be bolder?
I actually don't really have a strong. Look, I want to build infrastructure people use. That's usually my sort of principle. Whereas you know how much interaction I have with Trust Wallet. I don't really. I'm a user, but I don't dictate the direction of what to build. I also don't predict where the industry is trying to go. I actually just did a quick search. Revolut actually, according to Google, they only have 45 million users in 2024. So we actually, Trust Wallet user-wise, it's probably bigger than Revolut, at least in that regard, if that number is correct. So I think what you said is also interesting in the sense that the DGM, the sniping, the sort of the meme coins, it's hot, but I don't know how much long-term value that's bringing to people, right? So we've seen a lot of people getting hurt recently, and the meme what do you call it? The meme story has some. The meme trend has some issues. We're discovering some issues right now. And I think for me, I always want to see people building tools for the long term. So utilities that do not go away with time. So people need to hold assets. People need to earn interest. People need to pay for things. People need to hold their identity. People need to interact with government services, etc. So all of those things. People need to trade and convert, as well. So I actually prefer a Trust Wallet to sort of go into that direction where, it's for long-term usage. Not just pure. I mean, the short-term thing, we should support memes, but we may not. But I don't think we want to have the 5-year vision that we only do memes 5 years later, kind of thing. Where we need to support a wider use case. So I think I think, as I said, I think wallet is the future tool. I actually think in the future there shouldn't be any. The exchanges should only be for professional traders, very large traders with liquidity. The exchange is a liquidity pool. most people should not need to interact with exchange. And right now, for the last, I don't know, however many years, 11, well, actually for the last 15, 16 years, where crypto existed, the majority of people use exchange as a wallet. That is wrong. So the exchange shouldn't be the wallet. The wallet should be the wallet. The exchange should be for trading. So I think eventually that will flip sooner or later. So I think wallet is quite important. So that's kind of my view on the future. So I think somehow Trust Wallet will find a niche or a place in there, and I think Trust Wallet is quite well positioned.
Yeah, I definitely support you in the short term. We should build up the infrastructure for example, means, but the key is not the means, but how to get there, the tools, right? How to get the fiat on a ramp's journey right, how to get the currency coverages, how to get the token coverages, and then how to consider swap as a way to get to the assets, like all the bridges and conveniently. Meme can happen today or it can happen tomorrow. It can be something else, but then the tools and the infra doesn't change is what we hope to be able to work on.
Yeah, I mean, I said this a couple of years ago. I said the biggest blocker for the industry to grow is probably the ease of use of wallets, right? So I still think that's probably still the case today. I think things have gotten a little bit better with MPC wallets, etc. So, but fundamentally, most people don't know how to deal with keys, right? So they don't know how to deal with backups. Even multi MPC wallets, the multiple keys, etc. The cloud recovery sometimes. Well, if you only have cloud recovery and if you just uninstall your app, then you can't get it back, and then you still have to back up the seed, etc. I think that part is things got better, but we haven't completely solved that problem.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, as you mentioned, is to make whoever using the wallet that experience should be very, very easy, right? It should just be, look, it's like signing up on social media, right? You should be able to sign up and go. We need to, and then on the wallet side, what I ideally like to see is like the guy a person just says, hey, even if I want to buy memes, I just want to buy this meme, and he figures out which blockchain, he figures out which is the right smart contract address, he figures all of that out and just gets it for me. And we need to make that experience extremely easy for the user. If you have to use AI, we should. If you have to use other manual program tools, we should. So I think all of those things will come to wallets. And speaking of which, I think AI agents will be a big thing in wallets. I had a chat in person with Sam Altman like a week ago. But I said, look, in a wallet, there should be an AI agent that says, okay, I want to buy an airplane ticket to, I don't know, to Thailand. And there should be a AI agent on Expedia that the two agents will figure out which is the best ticket with the best schedule. What's my preference? Do I prefer which flight times do I prefer? All of that should be figured. Like right now, I'm privileged enough to have an assistant helping me with it, but the AI agent should do most of his job. So so I think, and again, that should be done from the wallet. It shouldn't be a separate service, etc. So it's not the AI. The agent should have a wallet. It's the wallet should have an agent in there. So anyway,
No, I completely echo with what you said. And then we also had this kind of vision too. I think in the next 1 to 2 years, this is the mandate I give it to the team, is can we get rid of the problem that wallet UX is the blocker for the industry mass adoption? So I think that right now with the technical standards and improvement, we're getting close. So it probably will happen in a year or two. Key management, there were 3 blockers, right? Key management, gas as a blocker, and chain as a blocker. So how to abstract all of this all together? There are all kind of standards going on. I think for us, the challenge is how to create that in the right standard across chains, at least the core chains that users engage with the most. So that will happen in 1 or 2 years. We're also, maybe this is the alpha, experimenting with AI agent as well. Because in the 5 to 10 years, or even shorter time, I think wallet's identity should become the personal companion for people. in their future economy. Right.
Yeah.
So it's not about, hey, utility A, B, C, D, E anymore. It's about how do I get this wallet that knows me the best and knows how I think, like personal assistant, and facilitate the users throughout the journey. And most important is to get confidence and security. So we will start with a few features to experiment as an interest point. And we know that there are a lot of experiments going on in the market as well. So we will grow with the industry together. And this is what we consider as the UX 2.0, if we can get AI agents to facilitate. But then coming back to this, right, you mentioned about trading, you mentioned about building long-term utilities. But when I was chatting with the builders, and some of the community mentioned this as well, is that, to be honest, speculation is the biggest driver and value growth in our industry. And at the same time, there are projects that might not focusing on this. However, they don't survive very well, either because of revenue, because of the user's interest, etc. So how would you recommend to project builders they are not primarily built around speculation to continue to stay relevant in the market and be able to create a broader range of values for society for the long term?
Yeah. Look, I think there's always a balance, right? There's always, there's like billions of people. There's probably close to 1 billion people in crypto now. At least a few hundred million. I think we're pushing 1 billion people. I think there's way more people who are aware or looking at crypto than who holds and diehard fans. But let's say 1 billion people overall. There's a spectrum of people, right? There's some people who are just speculators, and there's people who are just DJ trying to get deals and short-term gains, etc. There are people who are building for the long term. I actually think those are a larger number of people doing that. There's a small, I think traditional industries, probably 1 out of 10 people are traders, are speculators. But that group is loud, so they're online all the time, and when they make money, they're very happy. They like to show off their watches, their cars, they Lambos and etc. When they lose money, they viciously complain about they will complain about somebody else, right? So and so that's a really loud group. I mean, even if in the last week, I had some interaction with memes, right? So the broccoli, the dog community. What I learned is look. That group's really loud. But if you look at online, there are quite a number of people saying, look, let's just get over with memes. Let's focus on building, right? So there are a lot of people who never touch memes. Not to say who's right or wrong. It's just two different groups of people. The long-term builders are generally quieter. They're not blaming anybody. They're not picking fights with anybody. The meme guys. Number one, they ask you, hey, do you have a pet? You say, okay, yeah, I have a pet. Well, great. What's the name? And show us a picture. And then you show them a picture, and then they say, hey, what's the contract address? So they, what I learned is they don't care about the meme. They care about the contract address so that they can hopefully guarantee to make money. But no one can, not even me. I don't even know which contract address will make them money. So those are the guys who want to make a quick buck very quickly. But and they're just searching for short-term opportunities. I think, look, that's actually also good for the industry because that keeps the industry kind of hot. I think the more people we have, the better. But I think they're just different segments of people, and there's different segments of users. So we need to service everybody. I think it's fine. I think long-term builders will always build. And we'll also build tools for the meme speculators, etc. But we will. I think the industry already have a lot of tools for that. But as an industry as a whole, the long-term builders will build long-term tools. Wallets are not going to go away. So there are different type of wallets. I think we'll see more specialization in wallets too. Some wallets are now specialized with sniping. Right, we got to get you the best deal, the best second, and those are for the short-term sort of speculators. There are other tools that are just used by long-term people who are not like that kind of who doesn't have that kind of user profile. So they want more security, more ease of use, more fiat gateways, etc. So I think it's good to have a different spectrum.
Yeah, that makes sense. So since you're talking about the memes, and then after broccoli, over the weekend there's definitely a huge event as well with Libra. That triggered a lot of discussion or statements from all the different kind of players in the industry, projects, funds, market maker, users. And honestly, we also saw community asking too, like it's a little bit tired.
Yeah.
What do you think is the implications? And in the face of growing cynicism too, because with events like this, trust is really hard.
Yeah.
How do we rebuild trust moving forward for legitimate players out there?
I think the Libra incident is a bit unfortunate. I don't know anything I don't know any internal information. All the information I got is from X, right? Basically. There's quite a few threads. I did spend a bit of time reading about it. I think there's quite a number of revealing points. I think number one is as an important figure we got to be very careful, or like any important person should be very careful endorsing anything. Whereas in this case, Milei, he did tweet about it in a very direct endorsement way. What I've learned over the last week is even when I say explicitly, look, TST token is not an official token, people view that as an endorsement. I was like, look, this is the way. This is what what other ways can I come out and say we're not endorsing it? That's the only way to do it. And even when you say we are not endorsing it, people think you are. But especially that's more of the Chinese community, where the Chinese have a culture of reading between lines and all this other stuff. But for me, it actually creates a problem. For me, it actually creates a problem where when I explicitly say we're not endorsing it, they even view that as endorsement. Whereas for Milei, he actually did tweet about it. So, and I think the other really important thing is token economics are very important. So it's not like the memes are any different from any other token. You got to look at unlocking schedule. You got to look at vesting periods. You got to look at the distribution for the token distribution. How much does the team have? How much is circulated, etc. So all of that is extremely important. Right now, the meme culture has a tendency where people just follow one simple advice. So okay, one guy says buy this, and they just buy. They don't do any research. They ignore all of that. And then when they lose money, they just blame the guy who tweeted, right? So that's actually that's not the healthy mentality. So I think, and then what you mentioned about, there are a lot of fatigue. A lot of people are saying like, no, that might be the end of the meme session, etc. I do see quite a lot of that sentiment in the market now. But as with anything that's hot, NFTs was hot for a while, and then kind of it's still there, but it's cooled down quite a bit. It's kind of having a second revival, but it's cooled down for quite a bit. Before that, DeFi was hot for a while. DeFi still around, still very big, but it wasn't the temperature. It wasn't the only thing people talk about anymore, right? So in early 2020 or 2019, that's probably the only thing people talk about. And then, before that, it was ICOs. There were probably a bunch of other things I couldn't remember. But so things go through like trends, go up and down, right? So I think with the memes, I don't know where we are in the trending cycle, but memes feels to me like it's trending for quite a while, and it may have some cooling of the trend. But I think memes will stay. Like Doge, like the Dogecoin from like 2013 is still around. It's still like a very large market cap coin because Elon keeps tweeting about it. So I think some of them again, as in any sector, some coins will have staying powers, but majority of them will fizzle away. So for people who wants to hold long term, they gotta identify the strong, the strong fundamentals of coins. Memes, I don't know how to analyze. I would never have guessed that Doge, like that coin, would have lasted this long, but somehow it has staying power. So there are many things I don't understand. But I think overall, I do see potentially a sentiment shift in the meme coins, which I wouldn't say it's good or bad. It is what it is. I think as builders, we always, especially for me now, I'm more of a passive investor, mentor, kind of supporter in the community. I'm supporting multiple sectors, multiple projects in each sector. So we support AI agent projects. We support AI in general. We support more every sector in blockchain, and even a couple sectors outside of blockchain. So I think all of that is good. We just support builders to build. So I think the trending things change, right? That's why they're called trends. They change, but the long-term builders will keep building. So
Yeah. I think this is a good segue into one of the community question. This is from our volunteer trust squad, and also a public user called Dimitro Saving. What's the future of Web3 trends in 2025? I guess that you will say, I don't know, but then you do allude a little bit, right? Like maybe AI and AI agents. And then at the same time, you say every sector. Okay, that's going to throw people a little bit hard time of choosing. How from given your front seat role for investment, like what do you personally feel, oh, this is passionate or this is resonates with potential long-term value? Like you will hope that they do become what the community and the market will also willing to support as well.
yeah, so number one is it's extremely hard to predict. So most everything I say may or may not become, most likely will not become true, right? So if you ask me at the beginning of 2017, I would not have said ICOs. At the beginning of 2019, I would not have said DeFi. Beginning of 2020, I would not have said NFTs. Beginning of last year, I wouldn't have said memes. But last year, I was kind of distracted anyway. But I think there's quite a number of things going on which are quite interesting. So real world assets is there's a lot of talk about it. There's a lot of what I call initial experiments people are trying to build, etc. And there's also a lot of institutional support. You know, Larry Fink is a big RWA what do you call it evangelist. He's pushing that really hard. And the RWA is such a big field too, right? What is the asset? Is it stocks? Is it real estate? Is it other things? There's so many different things that you can do. It's again unclear what the regulatory frameworks for those are. Again, they're different type of assets, right? Some may be securities, some may be commodities, some may be currencies, some may be fiscal assets, etc. So I think that's a big asset. That's a big area. There's a lot of talk. There's a lot of interest. But so far, there's not a big project that kind of jumped out yet, right? And then the other area that's quite interesting to me is the government efficiency aspects. We're seeing multiple governments around the world trying to adopt blockchain solutions. So they're not just trying to adopt cryptocurrencies. They're really trying to use blockchain solutions now. Again, thanks to Elon and trying to use blockchain for Dodge, we're seeing that in multiple governments around the world, there's a little bit of a race going on. There's a little bit of let's see who gets there first. The U.S. have the advantage of having strong talent and strong VC backing, etc. But in many parts of the rest of the world, the government have much more power to direct, right? So many other governments don't have this debate going on. Some of them will be less of a democracy, but then they're highly efficient once the leaders decide what to do. So this area actually excites me a lot because this takes blockchain out of the sort of single dimension trading. There's like a whole dimension to it now. And whatever is good for blockchain is good for trading. So the more tokens you have, the more trading you will have. But I'm really excited to see the other use cases, a new dimension on using blockchain solutions in real world situations. And I personally want to see more solutions that are not just using blockchain for the sake of a PR exercise, or we're using blockchain. I want to see blockchain use cases where it is faster, it is cheaper, it is more reliable, it is more transparent to use the solutions. And I think there are many. The land title rights, digital IDs. There's a whole bunch of things that you can do with blockchain that we have envisioned 15 years ago, but we have not been able to implement. So those areas excites me a lot, just from a principle perspective, from a mission perspective. But again, I don't know if that's going to be the next hottest thing. As people have been trying to do many of that for years. And many times, the time is too early, right? So if you do something too early, then it doesn't get traction. So so we're looking at all of that. We're also even looking at AI plus AI solutions for biotech plus blockchain as an incentive, tokenization as an incentive. There are quite a number of different things going on. So I think all of those things. Again, I said a lot of stuff. I talked a lot, but I don't know which one is going to be the next hottest thing. But I think over the next 5 to 10 years, all of those things will come true. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you mentioned about government efficiency, I had a smirch. It's because, of course, I was thinking about Doge and tied back to meme coin, right? Like maybe that's the value of meme coin is
No.
also bring a little bit of attention to a real important.
The way I view it is actually the meme coin might be a good Trojan horse to get the hype going, and then but the actual blockchain solutions are the long-term drivers for long-term value and long-term cost efficiency gains, all of that. Yeah.
Yeah. One of my crypto friends said that he is using Doge to pay his teenager to do housework. Like you never know what's the currency of the future.
Yeah.
Talking about government, of course, people will want to get your view too, since you are dealing with so many heads of states, and potentially in a good way or a bad way, experiencing regulations from the front end. And then it's definitely a huge area people care about is how do you see key players around the world from a policy regulatory perspective that might shape the crypto industry's future. What might make you feel optimistic about, and what are you potentially unsure or skeptical about?
Yeah. So I think like if you asked me this question like 3 months ago, you'll get a very different answer, right? So given what I went through, what last year, 4 months in jail, and then 5 months before that confined in the U.S., etc. And then there was like repeated statements on war on crypto, right? And now this new U.S. government is very much pro crypto. It's like 180 degrees, right? I actually never imagined that government can do that, but that's kind of an interesting part about democracy. Every 4 years, you get a new president, and they can be completely opposites. So now I have a very positive view now. So before it was very much war on crypto, like they're trying to push crypto down, and so I think the U.S. guys have a lot of complaints about that, and the rest of the world kind of looks to the U.S., right? So whatever U.S. does, they kind of follow. They don't want to get too far ahead of the U.S., and then the U.S. may punish them, especially if it's something that the U.S. says war against. And then, but now, given the stance of U.S. has changed, the other governments can actually kind of, the smarter ones have pushed a little bit ahead of them before, and they keep pushing. The other ones that were kind of following them, there were a number of governments who follow the U.S. very tightly. They're kind of following along. And even the guys who don't want to follow U.S. tightly, they are economically pressured to adopt, right? So U.S. is going to, the multiple states in the U.S. is going to have a strategic reserve buying Bitcoins. And there's only that many Bitcoins. Whoever buys them late will buy them at a higher price. So I think government's gonna be competing. And there's only so much talent in the world, right? So the top talent are generally in the two larger countries right now, two larger tech countries, US and China. For other countries to attract talent, they need to adopt favorable regulations, and which they are trying to do. And then on top of that, there's investments, right? So if you don't invest, if you don't have investments in a sector that deals with money, that deals with the future of finance, then your financial sector is going to be weak. So now different countries are trying to compete on this. So this is like a complete 180-degree turn to what I see like 3-4 months ago. So all of this is extremely positive for blockchain crypto, right? So I think there's just so many now. For me, it wasn't so much that whether this will happen or not. It's just when it will happen. And 4 months ago, I actually would not have anticipated it would happen this quickly. But I think the new U.S. administration is all in on crypto, which is good. And it's actually the right thing to do. It's better for the global economy. It's better for everyone. It is a better technology for money, and plus many other things. So I think things are kind of moving in the right direction, which is very positive. But I'm always bullish. But before I wasn't as bullish as today because I thought it would take longer to get to where we are today.
Well, thank you for sharing. We just get a full download of your government pitch. If you may, that's very convincing, honestly. So shifting from the macro to the micro, right? Like in our industry, ecosystem are quite important, and I think the community has been seeing that. You're really trying to revitalize the BNB ecosystem, and this is a community question as well from Franco Zeppelin, and he says that how do you see BNB ecosystem in the coming years? And also because this is related to us as a wallet, right? How do you see that Trust Wallet as part of the ecosystem infra that's going to synthetically play together with the ecosystem?
Yeah. So, well, many people associate BNB with me. There's a higher association because we initially issued BNB, etc. That was 7 years ago. And for the last 7 years or so, I've been very, very busy. 7, 8 years or so, I've been very busy with Binance.com. Now I'm suddenly freed from that. So now I'm looking like, what am I going to do? And everybody knows I'm a large BNB holder. So I'm actually going to disclose my asset holdings on Binance.com soon. I think they just have a feature on the Binance Square, which allows you to disclose your distribution, etc. So I'm going to disclose that soon. And I'm also for me, I don't view myself like the way Vitalik views himself. Like Vitalik's driving sort of the Ethereum Foundation, etc. He openly stated he controls the foundation seats, or however they manage that. I view myself more as a member in the community, like a KOL. Most people call me a KOL these days. I just like to support different people in different in what they need, right? So whether it's if they're strong builders, whether it's the investments, is mentor coaching, or if they have any issues about how to manage teams, how to develop technology, or giving them a bit of a product exposure. I try very carefully not to take any incentives from anybody, right? So when I tweet about something, I'm like when I tweeted about TST, actually before I did that, I made sure to ask the team, we don't hold any of it, right? So all of that is out there. So I asked like 5 times, we don't have anything, right? We don't hold it. So, but I just want to make the community more healthy and grow. So I have an affinity to the BNB chain community, which probably will last till which will never go away. So I have a tattoo on my arm, which is not the BNB chain logo, but it's the earlier version of that logo. So so I just want to see the community to grow in anything.
The second part is with a wallet, right? I can share a little bit transparently about my struggle. Is that in the beginning we're very much of a Ethereum maxi as a wallet back in 2017, right? And then later on it becomes a multi-chain world, and then our mandate was how to get to where people want to be. And people then wanted to be on different chains, and then BNB chain comes out. Of course, that we have to really jump in as a good ecosystem partner to kind of support. And now we are expanding so much with multi-chain. We have more than 100 chains as the coverages, but the trade-off is also real there too. And it's not just for us. I think for other multi-chain projects, we may face the similar challenges. Is the breadth will also sacrificed by the depth. And that's the sacrifice with being chain agnostic. In the meanwhile, sometimes I feel like an orphan that we don't have like a sugar daddy anymore, right? Like to kind of take us as the homies out there. So how would you recommend to support the users to access as many wide ecosystem as possible, navigating through the multi-chain landscape, but at the same time still be able to provide good enough of a depth of the support out there?
My gut feel is there's a few different things here. I think we want to be blockchain agnostic, right? So from a wallet perspective, we want to be blockchain agnostic. From an exchange perspective, we want to be blockchain agnostic. From a BNB chain perspective, I feel a stronger affinity towards BNB chain and towards the BNB token. I'm also a holder. I'm like 90-something% of my holdings is in BNB. and then but there's so many different blockchains, right? As I tweeted a couple of days ago, I think we have enough blockchains. We have too many blockchains, not enough apps, not enough decentralized apps. So we need to make more apps for people to use. And then within the blockchain ecosystem, even if you just look at the BNB blockchain ecosystem, I think we don't have enough synergy. We haven't built enough synergy between the ecosystem players. Whereas when I look at some other blockchains, they have stronger synergy within the blockchain ecosystem. So that's something I would like to sort of help facilitate, help them glue them stronger together, or just help them to grow closer. I think previously there was a lot of everyone's on their own little island in the BNB block ecosystem, in the BNB chain ecosystem. So I think there was a lot of Trust Wallet is on its own. The Formium guys are on their own. There's a bunch of other players. They're all on their own. They're not like they haven't formed the industry roles together, and they don't have like sort of deep collaborations in terms of product development, product integration, workflows, etc. So I want to see quite a lot of that improve. And on that point, I think today, fairly speaking, I think the product level in the BNB chain ecosystem is there's a lot of room for improvement. So especially even compared to other blockchains today, I think the user when I just take a quick look, the user experience, the products, then and the liquidity, the way the liquidity discovery, etc. All of that workflow is not good. It's inferior to the competition or to other players. And it's also far inferior from what we call, I guess, perfection, right? So, or the ideal state. So I think there's a lot of room to improve, which I do like to help at least point out. I unfortunately probably won't be the guy to. I will not personally be able to fix it, but I can ask, using my sort of KOL influence, say, hey, look, guys, can you fix this quicker? Can you fix this faster? So I think I want to see, but I'm also already seeing that that change happening. I think the last time a week ago, maybe like a few days ago on a Twitter space, the Formium CEO was there. A couple other industry player CEOs were there, and the solutions are implemented very quickly. Like they changed within days, not weeks and months. So I want to see more of that happening in the sort of BNB chain ecosystem. But again, I don't have control over anybody. But I'm trying to say, look, luckily I have close to 9 million followers and some following in the crypto industry. So I can help them with giving them exposure, giving them just sort of bring traffic, etc. So they kind of and I think basically most players do respect me. So I want to have the BNB chain ecosystem players to work together as a whole, and then also, but at the same time, to some certain infrastructure players should be agnostic to blockchain, right? So the wallets, even liquidity aggregators, etc., they should be somewhat agnostic. But I want to make sure that they do provide good services in the BNB chain ecosystem. So so I think today if I look everywhere I look, our products are the products in our space are not great. But that also means there's a lot of opportunity. So, but if I look at the numbers, like even previously, I think the numbers were less good. But even last week, right? So the BNB chain ecosystem has the highest volume, has the highest number of active addresses, etc. So the stats are good. But when I look at the tools are not that good. So that means like today, even with inferior products and tools, we have more traffic. So that means that if we improve the tools and products, the traffic will be even better. So that's critical for us to do. So the opportunity, this is a golden opportunity is there. So I encourage all the builders in the space to quickly do that, including Trust Wallet, including other people. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the last week is a very humbling week as well, especially that we got exposed to a different kind of market of users that previously we don't really have a presence on. And then we realized that, oh my God, the user expectations are very different. Like I got community over here asking, how can we balancing out from X1, how can we balancing out the other different chains and not on BNB? And while others say that can our BNB experiences get better from and from like a next hub based ETH to us, it's like how can we improve the UI UX even on BNB chain, right? Supposed to be our home base. So we take it very seriously and with humility and just feel like, yes, we're not good enough. We actually want to shrink the breadth to depth and just focus on the fundamentals of every single user flow and refine on the details, get the basics better. And then we can do the breadth later on. So that's what to the community's questions about balancing it and also the playing around that.
So
I wanted to go ahead. Yeah.
So that I agree. So I didn't go into the depth part. So I think my point is we want to spot us. We want to be blockchain agnostic, but we actually want to focus a bit, right?
Yes.
So that's kind of the depth. So because if we don't have the superior product experiences, we should focus a bit narrower. We should build really good products and then we should go deep and then go wide.
Yeah. And then I'm very conscious of the time. There's a lot of good questions there too. But I think, okay, this one is a spicy one. Might be interesting is that, okay, BNB and Solana, the two most engaged ecosystem for this past, few weeks to a month. What do you see the similarities and differences? Yes, we talked about maybe the tool suite, easy to use product experiences for sure. But how do you? But what about the benefits of BNB chain? And how would the differences on this two chain ecosystem shape your vision?
So you said BNB and Solana.
BNB and Solana, yes.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so I'll go out on a limb and talk about Solana a little bit. I think Solana is a really interesting chain, to be very frank. They were supported by FTX, right? Sam Altman, not Sam Altman, Sam SBF before. So it got pretty hot. And then FTX crashed, it got hurt, right? And then now, then Solana was not, this is my perception, right? So this is like a very simplified perception. I don't know if it's correct or not. Then Solana is not less associated with an exchange. And there's a bunch of guys who lost money, who lost a lot of money on that. And they said, well, they probably said, just screw it. We're just going to do pump and dumps. Right? Whereas if you think about that narrative, if say, just because of the historical association of BNB chain with Binance, etc., if BNB chain says we just support pump and dumps, that's going to look bad on Binance, I think. So BNB chain is like, no, they actually have limitations on doing that, I think. Whereas Solana, the exchange is already gone, and then a bunch of people have lost money, and they're just holding the Solana token. So then they just went crazy. So they're just gonna openly support pump and dumps, even Pump.Fun. I think if that name actually first appeared on a BNB chain ecosystem, it will attract a lot of regulatory attention, I think. Whereas Solana is somehow did less or has so far had very little regulatory attention. And then the last SEC, Gary Gensler was suing everybody for security tokens, right? So, but luckily memes are fairly clearly not security tokens. So then that two combination, so the memes took off and it took off on Solana. More recently, what I learned is like many people say, so on the Solana, the meme tokens, they go up and they go down. That's it, right? So that's kind of the curve. Whereas on BNB chain, sometimes they have a couple of different bumps. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing, or if that's going to go on if that's going to be the future or not. But that should even just those historical things shows the difference in user behaviors on the two different chains. So I think there is a bit of a different user demographic on the two chains. There's a lot of overlap. A lot of people use multiple chains, use multiple exchanges, etc. So, but I think, but given the amount of activity that's on Solana for the last couple of years, right? I think the tools built there are accustomed to those kind of volumes. Whereas on BNB chain, the tools are not quite accustomed to those type of volumes yet. I believe like I've seen very quick adjustments on the BNB chain builders ecosystem. So I think that will change. So there's some interesting differences between the two. But again, I think when I say we want to go deep, I don't say like we only need to focus on one chain. I think the industry is big enough to accommodate a number of chains. But do we need 1,000 different chains? Probably not. Do we only need one? That's probably too little. So my view is more balanced. I think we should have a couple dozen different blockchains, have different purposes, different demographics, different differentiations going forward, and then they will have different innovations. So there should be some competition to promote innovation. And then, but they shouldn't be like 1,000 different blockchains. I think the industry, we don't need 1,000 right now, but that's probably way more than 1,000 blockchains right now. And then on those different on the small number of blockchains, we should build different apps, and different blockchains will have different ecosystem over time. So yeah, I think we want to support multiple blockchains. We don't want to, although I said my affinity is stronger with BNB chain, obviously, but we want to support multiple.
Yeah. I think that this is a really good way of putting it. And also there's a TrustBlock question for me from Just Jesse, and asked me, like, how do we view the long-term potential of BNB chain compared to other blockchains like Ethereum, Solana, because we support most of them. I think from wallet perspective is that the best way to have the broad and the depth is that we wanted to support the best use cases on each of the chains and expose that to the users. We want the innovations to come up, right? Like better people figure out their identity and competitive edge per ecosystems, and then we can provide a bridge to help bring people to everywhere, regardless of what the chain is. Compete on the product and application. Don't compete on the fundamental gatekeeping perspective is what we think will be a healthier ecosystem.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I think that's the best way to go. And also, you mentioned Ethereum. I think also we should talk about a little bit about Ethereum. Look, I have huge respect for Ethereum, right? So BNB first launched as a ERC20 token, so we got to remember that. And I think Ethereum has a lot of innovation. ERC20 was from it. The Soulbound tokens were from it. Even memes probably came from Ethereum first. So, but Ethereum is largest cap token other than Bitcoin, right? So it's a lot of people complain about the price stability, and they want volatility upwards. So, but it's one of the larger market caps right now, and so I think Vitalik is he is a very strong founder, a genius. So I think from a Trust Wallet perspective, we should support all of those blockchains. So I think there are many. We do need multiple blockchains in the ecosystem, and we do want Trust Wallet to be a key player in multiple blockchain ecosystems.
Yeah. That's our mission. Considering the time, there's also some interesting and challenging questions. I'm going to combine them together. So from Oishi, AB Kwangdong, from the Asian community, they'll be like, how can Trust Wallet stay more competitive, right, with product innovations, appealing to the Gen Z users? Also, at the same time, I think it's similar to tokens plan too. A lot of the communities care a lot about the TWT details and the plans. I feel like, given what you said about regulation, previously I wouldn't dare to say this, because every time that we do some really big product stuff, let's just do liquid staking, or like industry wouldn't feel that this is that innovative because it's already out there as a dApps. But if we do it, then we will get into a security challenges from regulators, because we don't track IP. We cannot differentiate the users. Similar with tokens, if we do anything, we will immediately get any inquiries. But then how do we keep the company survive? And now my bold claim is that given what the environment changes, especially leading on the US side, builders like us can feel more confident to take the risks and bring what the industry has in innovation to the larger user base better. So we will plan to do TWT. We want to do better cashbacks with our revenue streams. We wanted to do referrals, and we also wanted to build TWT into like the gas for payment because of the technological stacks might be happening. So that's what we're planning to do that we don't dare to do previously. And maybe we can see more revenue positive projects. We'll start to do real utility tokens out there. But how would you see tokenomics, CZ? What will be your advice to us and then to the broader utility token builders building good tokenomics?
Okay. I'll go into a little bit longer history on this one. I'm not sure if you know the history of TWT even. Uh, I'm not sure if the community knows. So TWT token started as a pure experiment from Victor. So one day Victor come to me together with a guy on the research team back then. This is, I don't know when. This is like 2019 or 2018 or something, somewhere around there. And they said we just want to launch this token as an experiment to see how people react to a token. And they launched I don't know what the market cap of TWT today is, but they launched it, and they only had a very small circulating supply, so the price went up. And when we look at the FDV, the total fully diluted value, it's like astronomical. It's like a few $1 billion at that time. They said well, this is not right. We don't have any use case for this token, and then this is too crazy. So then they propose. They propose. So let's burn 98%. They burn 98% of the token.
99% of the supply. Yeah.
Right. So they burn 99% of the supply because these are genuine tech geek guys. They're not trying to make a quick buck. Well, they could be. So they burned 99% of the supply, and now they kept 1%. So that's kind of what's going now. But then for years, we couldn't find a use case for the token, right? Because many wallets issue tokens, but with a wallet you don't really need a token. So there's not that many use cases unless you build a blockchain. So for years, many wallet-based tokens struggled, and TWT was kind of in that kind of looking for a use case kind of a phase. But I think going forward, now, especially wallets are doing more swaps, more transactions. Wallets now finally have a revenue models, right? So once you have revenue models, then you can have different incentives attached to the tokens. So again, I learned my lesson. I'm not a legal guy. I think there should be professional legal advice being sold to say what's allowed, what's not allowed. How do you design it so that it's not a security? You absolutely don't want to make it a security. So I think there and also the laws are changing, right? So I think the laws are changing in the U.S. So and then the rest of the world will follow. So I think you want to, but I do see that I can't go into any concrete designs, etc. But I do see that there are now possibilities for a long-term sustainable token economics that are strong. So I think after, I don't know, 5-6 years, we finally are going to be able to build real use cases for TWT. So I think, again, sorry for the vagueness. I'm not the guy to come up with solutions, but I think the timing is possible now. Where before there was just, I don't see a way out. Now we finally waited until the time that I think there are multiple potential solutions.
Yeah. So given the history, this is how I describe is that TWT has the memes fair launch. Right, there was no investment, no insiders, no core group homies. So and then right now, all the circulations are basically out there for communities and for the rest, and we might come up with a plan afterward. So we got the fair launch of the memes, but then we can work on the utilities going forward because now we do have real economic model as the wallet, as a business. So then one thing I hope, regardless of the experiments that we're doing, what I hope we can do and other utility projects can do is how can we not make product and tokens two separate things? Because that's really distracting, right? And how to actually make tokens a flywheel that also helps to drive the fundamental growth of the user and the businesses. And ideally, it's not token holders, product users, but better overlap between these two. Then I feel that you will give tokens in our industry a new type of life trajectory than traditionally that we're seeing. Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so there are very good ways to, once you have real transactions, there are very easy ways to bake in TWT utility, right? So then your token, again, I check with a lawyer first. Don't implement it based on my feedback. But using TWT to pay for fees, to discounts, staking, as you mentioned, rewards, staking interest, a lot of that can be built in. And how you build it in, where you build it in, check with a lawyer first. But now I think it's possible. So for a long time, wallets couldn't charge a fee because they're just on-chain transactions. And anybody who charge a fee, people don't use it. People move to the next wallet. But now the blockchain ecosystem is so complex. You have to find different bridges and etc. All of that do require fees. So now the wallets do have income. So I think I'm pretty confident we will eventually find use cases for TWT that are very attractive and long-term sustainable. So this is kind of back in the day, when Google says, well, we have a lot of traffic, but we don't know how to make money yet. But once you have the traffic, you will find a way to make money.
Yeah, for sure. And I think if we were to be able to do it with potentially some experiment examples for application layer products, rather than foundational protocol network layer, they all have some go-to tokenomic structures. But then how could we encourage applications to build, right? This is how you actually get the tokens to work out. Okay, we're on time. Thank you for going over. Last question as we close. Does Broccoli have a brother or sister?
No, no. So I think that was my experiment, sort of trying to understand the meme coin ecosystem. I haven't bought a meme coin yet, but I got enough exposure to it that I kind of understand the mentality of different people there, etc. I do want to try to play with the tools, but I think on the meme coins, I got to be very careful that I'm a builder, so I want to build tokens with long-term utility. So that's kind of how my mind works. I like to support the meme community. I'm definitely not, so I want to support that. But again, I don't have any other pets, so I'm kind of my contributions are almost. I don't have another way to contribute in terms of a pet now. I don't envision to get a new pet, so we'll leave it at that.
Thank you very much, CZ. Really appreciate your time.
Okay, yeah, thanks for having me, and thanks for everyone listening. Yeah, cheers.
Cheers. Good night.
Yeah, bye-bye.